What the Colorado Avalanche are doing right now doesn't happen awful lot. Teams aren't supposed to dominate this hard, and yet somehow they're still getting better. We might be witnessing NHL history, and nobody's talking about it yet. First in the league at 19-2-6, they're on pace to break a record that hasn't been touched since 1976. MacKinnon is leading the league in points, Makar is leading all defensemen in points. This is a record-breaking season in real time. But if the Avalanche really are this unstoppable, who, if anyone, can take them down? But before we get into that, let's break down exactly how the Colorado Avalanche became this terrifying.
I don't know if any team could beat the Colorado Avalanche this year the way they have started. One regulation loss at this point of the season is nuts. Number one in overall goals for, number one in goals against. I think it's the 2011 Canucks that haven't done that. Since the 2011 Canucks, someone has done that. I could be mistaken, but I think that's what I heard in terms of that stat. The only weakness I could say we could have, and we'll talk about it in a second later, is they're doing this. They're getting a lot of goals. They have a difference of 50, and their power play is only 25% for that type of team. So, what's your overall reaction of this Avalanche team? Because this is for a year that's been pretty weird for NHL teams. This is obviously slightly weird with how good they've been. I'm not surprised they've been good, but like one regulation loss, 6 shootout overtime losses. I guess that's another weakness you could say. Overall, like this team is just out flying. They already have the Norris probably winner. They already have the Hart winner. Gabriel Landeskog's back. Goaltending's good. Like overall, what are your thoughts of this team? Because we did see these guys in person once. We got the luck. We were lucky enough to see them at Rogers Arena earlier this year.
They're never losing again. that's the reaction. Look, this team is giving you the vibe that they're gonna win the Stanley Cup. Yeah. They're giving you the vibe in 2022 where they just feel dominant in every aspect of the game, whether it comes to defense, goaltending, or the offense. And obviously we were seeing that with Nathan MacKinnon leading the way and leading the NHL in points. So it's crazy to say that like the regulation loss came in October. In November, almost all of the main players like MacKinnon, Makar, MacKinnon, Natchez, right, Landeskog, all of them had a better November than October in terms of each of them are playing better and getting more points, right? And then that goes all across the lineup. They're getting secondary scoring as well from the third and fourth lines. Brock Nelson is looking like a proper ad now. Obviously, he didn't do anything in the playoffs, but right now we're seeing what Brock Nelson can really do, and he's doing that, and he doesn't have to do it at a high level because the first line is so elite with MacKinnon, Natchez, and MacKinnon.
Wait, did I say 25%?
Yeah.
Okay, I meant to say they're 25th in the league at 16%.
Yeah, so
25% would be amazing.
Yeah, 25% is good. I was like,
25th in the league is 16%.
And obviously here, like, there's the one biggest difference you're seeing from the Colorado Avalanche from like last couple of years is the main thing is they got their leader back.
Yeah.
Gabriel Landeskog. And right now, and as the season has went on, in the second month, the third month of the season now, we're seeing him be more like Gabriel Landeskog as well. But overall, like, you get your captain back, you get the leadership in your room back. That takes away from MacKinnon's job because obviously MacKinnon and Makar have to step up as leaders. But you have your actual leader, your main captain who's been there basically his whole career, and Gabriel Landeskog coming back, and obviously just the way he battled back and the way he fought back from his injuries is already inspiration enough. So like this team it felt like they came off the gate because of him being there. Just felt like they were already motivated. They were already inspired to do what they're doing at the moment.
The Gabriel Landeskog being back in the locker room is big in a sense that MacKinnon is a good leader, but he's a fiery leader. Like all the stories you hear is this guy's like on people's asses, like, why are you not doing this properly, or this properly? Eating habits or whatever the case might be. So you have a guy in the locker room that could tell MacKinnon to shut up essentially when he needs to shut up, and he won't fight back. Yeah, essentially, because that's how much of a leader Gabriel Landeskog has been. Also big for Sweden as well. Big for Sweden, which we'll be talking about the Olympic teams this month as well. So you guys do not want to miss that. So hit that subscribe button. But that to me was like the big ad forward wise. Even though yes, he's not going to provide the points at this point in his career. Obviously, like he still has 5. He got 5 goals and 9 assists, 14 points in 26 games. That's fine, but you're not really expecting that from Gary.
Here's how good they've been.
Yeah,
Landeskog has 10 points in his last 10.
Yeah.
So obviously, like right now, we're seeing more Gabriel Landeskog now, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, obviously, he's going to start off slow. It took him a while to get his first goal of the season. But in the last 10, he has 10. In the last 10, Brock Nelson has 12. So, like, that second line is cooking. And obviously, don't need to say much about MacKinnon was obviously cooking himself. But overall, like, I mean, it kind of shows because they only have one regulation loss, and that happened in October. That, like, the month of November was just much
beat
better.
Them, by the way? This is like the
I actually don't remember.
This is like OKC Thunder for me. Like, Portland looks like gods at the moment. But no, overall, like, this team's concerned.
The Bruins.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the Bruins have been pretty good this year themselves. Was it like, what? Multiple?
3-2.
Okay, so it's not like they got... I mean, we didn't watch the games. I can't say they got outplayed.
They actually, like, if you think about it, the Colorado Avalanche technically had a 4-game losing streak in October. They had an OTL, a shootout loss, a regular loss,
yeah,
and then another OTL.
But like obviously those might come to bite them long term. But I mean at the moment it doesn't
clearly
matter.
Not.
Like, clearly
moment,
not.
yeah.
But we'll see what happens in the long term because again, is this sustainable? We don't know, right? This thing with this season in the NHL, injuries have been a big deal. And they obviously have some guys out with Scott Wedgwood now being the latest guy.
But they're one of the teams that have been fairly healthy.
Yeah,
so obviously that's the main advantage.
Like
here.
Gavin Brindley is out for a bit now.
Yeah, no, but like we're seeing teams big dogs get out.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you know, and I guess their big dog, you know, is not necessarily the biggest dog, but the guy like Nichushkin, missing a little bit of time. He was their top 6 guy. We'll see. The one thing I do love is like Brock Nelson is back. Like now the trade makes sense. We'll see ultimately the true value come playoff time. But again, every time I've been saying with the Marner situation, yes, Marner in the playoffs, different story, but you need to get there, and he provided you 102 points last year. In this case. Yeah, I'm not saying Brock Nelson's gonna go out and give you MacKinnon numbers because MacKinnon numbers are nuts. But you want someone that's has two-way ability that can penalty kill and still provide offense when he needs to.
Here's a simple thing.
Yeah, he has 17 points in 26 games.
Here's a simple thing. They have something in Brock Nelson that a lot of NHL teams don't.
Yeah,
a second line center.
Exactly, right? And they were a team that was struggling ever since Kadri left.
Exactly,
trying to figure out center. Like in their own division, the Winnipeg Jets are struggling because A. Hellebuck's injured, but B, they don't really have a second line center, and C, they did not address the Ehlers out. These guys, what the good thing they did was like obviously last year they got ahead of it, got Brock Nelson, moved off of Casey Middlestat, right? Because he was supposed to be their second line center. That wasn't
brought in Natchez, got rid of Rantanen.
Obviously, that one was still shocking to me. I think this team would be even better. Obviously, I'm not gonna complain too much about Rantanen.
Natchez is playing really good.
Yeah, but. The one thing I do want to say is like these guys address their goaltending situation, whereas you look at Edmonton, for example, who have not, right? Like these guys didn't go out and get like some star, like they weren't.
They got Mackenzie Blackwood.
They got Mackenzie Blackwood, and then they got Scott Wedgwood, both the Woods, who were also on the radar of Team Canada because that's how amazing. Like no one thought Mackenzie Blackwood was on the radar slightly last year because he was performing well. Scott Wedgwood was not, right? He was just a simple backup, and all this year like they've split time. And some people are saying to pick him ahead of Mackenzie Blackwood, Darcy Kemper, and all these guys. Again, we will be doing our Team Canada reveal sometime this month, and we'll ultimately see who our top 3 goalies are. But the one thing, any weakness they've addressed in terms of lineup wise is pretty much figured out. People that wanted to get Bednar gone, now they don't need to say that anymore. Again, a big kudos for Gabriel Landeskog coming back and getting the leadership fully in store. Nathan MacKinnon. Once again, gonna be the Hart favorite. 46 points in 26 games. Those are like legit McDavid every year numbers, and he's doing that. And I'm glad he's Canadian with this guy, how fun he is to watch. Obviously, not just in person, that way we got to see, but yesterday when they played against the Canucks or in general. So that's pretty much the recap of the Colorado Avalanche at this point.
Here's the one thing. The one thing I want to say is obviously this is not sustainable.
Yeah,
because like one regulation loss is not sustainable. Like let's be honest here.
There might be a small stretch where they're
gonna lose more, and that's gonna be obvious. But the one thing we can say, and with all these numbers and all the roster players and all that are performing well, all the thing we could just kind of run it down to in terms of one thing one takeaway I'll have about the Colorado Avalanche is that by far in the NHL they have been the most consistent team in the NHL. The Dallas Stars are like 3 points behind them, but at the end of the day, Dallas Stars did have their up and downs. We're seeing a down for Montreal right now, who is probably another team that I thought was really high. But Avalanche just threw out, even if they like played bad, they still find a way to win. Because honestly, like you think about it, the couple of the Canucks game in trouble a little bit. And the last game, they were pretty sloppy in the first period against the Vancouver Canucks. But obviously, when you have MacKinnon and Makar, like they were able to MacKinnon pulled them out of it. But in terms of just consistency, getting results and all that stuff, obviously the record shows that. But it's just clear and by far, even looking at it performance-wise, that this is a team that's kind of been the most consistent because they don't have those bad stretches. They don't make them like other than that 4-game technically losing streak, they don't rack up back-to-back OTL losses much.
Yeah.
Right? Like they only have 6. So technically 7 losses total, which is still insane.
But that being said, though, like I said, the weakness, power play, obviously needs to be better with the talent they have. The other weakness I'm going to say is that they need to face some adversity. And to your point, they might come into playoffs because we saw Boston didn't really face that when they broke the record in terms of points and they got bounced in the first round against the Florida Panthers, who, to be fair, the Bruins did choke the 3-1 as well, right? So in this case, they're 3 points clear of the Stars, so it's still a tight race, but they do have 2 games in hand, right? So they need to handle those 2 games in hand in business, and then they get 4 more points from the 3, so they'll get 7 points clear off top of that.
But, on top of the league, not just a division.
In terms of the league, right? But to close out the chance to talk about some other teams here, this is how I'm going to tie it all together.
Actually, no, there's one. I'm going to bring up one weakness.
Yeah.
Colorado Avalanche, the biggest weakness they have is themselves. And here's the reason why.
Playoff time.
Number 1, the year they won the Cup, absolute dominant.
Yeah.
Right? Destroyed Tampa in the playoffs, even though it went to 6, but at the end they beat them one of the games 7-0, which was insane. Year after, they lost in the first round to a wild card team in Seattle.
They did lose Kadri, to be fair. So
but still,
some pieces
they
that
beat
missing.
Themselves. Yeah. That's a series you should not be losing, especially coming off a Cup win. Doesn't matter who you lost. As long as you didn't lose MacKinnon, right? And then obviously year after that, they kept on getting bounced by Dallas. Last year was a year where they choked that game 7. They choked that series in general because in my opinion, in that series, it was a great series, don't get me wrong. But in that series, Colorado felt like the more dominant, felt like the better team throughout the 7 games. And they blew it with that game 7 and allowing Mikko Rantanen get his full revenge and get that hat trick to eliminate them. And right now there's also a President's Trophy curse.
Yeah, true.
Right? So as much you want to believe in curses, it's been 10 years now since the President's Trophy winner has won the Cup. The last one was in 2015, which was the Chicago Blackhawks. So overall, we have seen this team ever since they won the Cup literally beat themselves in the biggest moments. So in my opinion, that's the biggest threat, because other than that, when you're looking at other teams being the biggest threat, at the moment I could say Dallas. Don't really want to say Vegas. I don't really want to say Vegas as well. I want to
transition to that in a second.
That's on the west side. But overall, when we're going to bring up the teams of who their biggest threat is, for me, on the top of that list is the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, so fair. I'm not disagreeing with anything you said, but like I said, we're going to transition and talk about some of the teams that could be a threat to these Colorado Avalanche. But before we do that, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. I mentioned Olympics are around the corner, which means rosters are going to be released maybe I think at the end of this month or the beginning of January. So you do not want to miss our roster reactions, our roster predictions for some of these countries, because the Olympics are back. NHL players are there. It's going to be a fun time. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and comment down below. Who do you think is the biggest threat to the Colorado Avalanche? Is there a team that can beat this team, or is it straight up Colorado for the Cup, or pick the field? You guys let us know. We'll engage you guys in the comments and hit the like button. But that being said, the biggest threat outside of Colorado being Colorado's biggest threat, which I 100% agree with you, I feel like there's 2 right answers. Number 1, it's the Dallas Stars. Because at the end of the day, they're still the most complete team. Their special teams is good, so they're kind of a little bit of flipped of the Avalanche in that sense. We've seen Dallas had some weird, a hot stretch, cold stretch already at the beginning of the year, right? And now they're, like I said, there's 3 games. They're 3 points back. Obviously, Colorado having 2 games behind. Like I said, they're not even just in terms of all the teams in the NHL. They also have to go through the Dallas Stars in the division, and the Dallas Stars have to go through Colorado in the division. So with that being said, that's just automatic number 1 biggest threat, because I could see this Dallas Stars team potentially beating these guys in a best of 7.
Well, clearly we have seen that in 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Right? Dallas have eliminated Colorado Avalanche 2 years in a row to make it to the conference finals and they made it to a conference final themselves 3 years in a row. So obviously, when you're looking at threats, especially in the West, Dallas has to be number one, just because the way the playoff format is. I feel like Elliot Friedman said it best last year. Like you don't look at Colorado being eliminated in the first round last year the same as someone like Montreal being eliminated in the first round, right? Where Montreal, you kind of expected them to lose in round one against Washington, even though they didn't make it competition. And another team could be like the St. Louis Blues, even though they made it real close as well.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to worry about the Blues this year, that's for sure.
But the reason why you don't look at that is because literally the Colorado, same goes with Tampa Bay Lightning, they're literally facing cup contenders, even though they're a cup contender themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you look at, like, if you're ranking the playoffs, you could put Dallas and Colorado in the top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of like who's going to win the cup. And it's weird to say that the teams that are in the top 3, 2 of the teams in the top 3 are facing each other in round 1.
Yeah, and that's the problem with that Central and the Atlantic division usually these past couple of years.
And obviously, that's why you can't really like say much about the Tampa Bay Lightning, even though they haven't really put up much of a competition. Like, whereas the Colorado Avalanche literally lose to a Western Conference team in the first round. Like, Western Conference finalist team in the first round.
Yeah, right. And obviously disappointing that the Stars never got to the Stanley Cup final, but that's a different story.
And honestly, the series they play against each other are literally Western Conference final.
They take each other out so much.
Yeah, the Western Conference final is like literally Western Conference final worthy as a watch as well.
So that being said, like for me, this is my chance to talk about the Dallas Stars a little bit. I think they're out of the Western Conference. They should be the biggest threat because the Jets are out of the picture now. In terms of like if Hellebuck especially going to be injured, they have too many weaknesses, like I said. And Minnesota are just a streaky team at the moment. Although I was completely wrong about them. I'll give you kudos to you because you're right about them.
I was technically still wrong about the Blues, but I didn't expect to be this bad.
True, but I'm saying like one of the things I was really right on was the Anaheim Ducks. You were completely wrong on, and vice versa. You were completely right about the Wild, where I definitely underrated the hell out of them. I mean, they have a goalie that Edmonton should probably have right now who could challenge Schaefer for Rookie of the Year as well, even though we think of Schaefer is a war to lose. But that's my number one team that I think is the biggest threat. Number 2, I'm going to head over to the Eastern Conference, and I'll talk about a third team. We'll come back to it later. Or if you have any other teams you potentially have. Carolina Hurricanes. I'm not scared of anybody in the Atlantic at the moment, the way it's going. Yes, Tampa Bay has finally hit the spot as the top team in the Atlantic now. It took them a little bit. Obviously, still close. The best Canadian team right now, we were at the video we made with that one, we were wrong about the Jets. It's probably Ottawa. But that being said, I'm not scared of any team unless the Panthers get healthy. Right, if Matthew Tkachuk comes back and comes out firing, maybe Barkov comes back. That's the only other team. But at this moment, on December 3rd, I am not scared of any team in the Atlantic Division if I'm the Colorado Avalanche. Carolina is where I'm going with it though, because I still think they have a relatively complete team. Similar to Colorado, they always beat themselves somewhere or another. They obviously we've always talked about Brind'Amour needs to figure out adjustments when he needs to, but like. To his point as well, is like Florida plays like us but better because they have the better talent or whatever the case might have been. Now, the Canes have a really good team. They added Nikolai Ehlers to this roster, which is why Winnipeg is struggling. So if it ends up being the finals, I think if Colorado does get past Dallas, I'm not saying it's smooth sailing the rest of the way because it's hockey. You need to be on the top of your game. Like you said, they lost to Seattle Kraken the year after they won the Cup. But if I'm picking another team that I'm really scared of, if I'm going to be Colorado, it is the Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricanes, I 100% agree with that. They are playing really well. They are looking the most complete team in the Eastern Conference at the moment. I am going to throw Florida in there just because I have to. Like, at the end of the day, like, they're one guy getting, like, it depends on the injury thing.
Yeah,
because
like, right now they're last in the Atlantic.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, if Florida gets in, it's Florida's to lose. It's just simple as that. That's just how it is. And that's how it's been the last two.
I'm more speaking of as of today's date.
Yeah. And also, to be fair to us, like, the reason why we said the Jets were the best team at the moment because Hellebuck was healthy. And a day later, he got in. Exactly. Like 2 days later, he got injured. But yeah, you can't really hone in on a guy in a team in Atlantic. Obviously, if you're looking at it now, it could be the Lightning. In probably a couple of weeks, we might get a clear answer for that. But overall, in the Eastern Conference,
the best team is the Canes.
The best team is the Canes at the moment.
And the teams like the Devils, they need Jack Hughes healthy. Capitals are doing well. They have really good goaltending as well. That's helping them at the moment. But yeah, I think the way the Canes are built, they're a team that can be physical, that can go out and give the Colorado Hurricanes, Colorado Avalanche trouble if they do end up beating the Stanley Cup final. And I'm gonna bring one team. This is like more of a an honorable mention if I have to. What do you think of the Vegas Golden Knights at the moment, who have been up? They're not leading the division at the moment. That goes to the Anaheim Ducks, but we know that they could maybe falter. They're a young team. Obviously, as of this recording, they're getting their ass kicked right now by the Utah Mammoth. But the Golden Knights, at the end of the day, we know what team they are. As much you don't like, their goaltending is the biggest weakness probably. They got Carter Hart, and I know that's a sensitive topic, so I don't want to get too much into that because at the end of the day, he's in the NHL now. And yeah, not a good start, but we'll see what ends up happening there.
Technically, if you're looking at it, Vegas only has like what? More losses than wins if you combine them both.
That's also another factor, right? They have 6 losses and 8 overtime losses.
So that's 14, and they only
Whereas they had Colorado has 1 loss and like 6 overtime losses.
But Vegas has what? 11 wins?
They're
10?
12 and 14.
So they're technically 12 and 14.
And the Ducks are 16 and 10.
Look, we're not seeing the best Vegas.
Yeah.
But we know what Vegas is. So it just terms of like just giving them benefit of the doubt. Like if they're in the playoffs, they're going to be a threat to anyone. Yeah. It's kind of like 2 years ago when Dallas had to face Vegas in the first round because Vegas were a wild card team because of the injury they're dealing with. And Vegas, it was a 7-game series. Vegas were up 2-0 in that one. Logan Thompson was brilliant, and then they went back to Aiden Hill, which I can't really blame it because Aiden Hill did play good still, but I don't understand that move. But so because of that, like you're saying that if they get matched up, they're going to be a threat.
It also depends on Mark Stone's health.
Yeah,
as well.
So, and he's been playing a little bit better
but
this year.
But he's injured 10 games into the season.
Yeah, that's an issue. But yeah, like if you're a team you could even give benefit of doubt to, it's going to be the Vegas Golden Knights. Even the same way like how I said for the Florida Panthers. Like,
yeah,
they're just going to be a threat.
I mean,
if they're in, they're going to be a threat.
By the way, before Stone went down, 10 games, 17 points.
Yeah, like he was on it.
He was on a
cooking.
tear.
Yeah, so like same thing I said for the Florida Panthers a little bit earlier. If they're in, they're going to be a threat. Same thing goes with the Vegas Golden Knights.
But that being said, we still believe that the Avalanche are the team to beat overall. Is there any other team you want to consider that can be in competition
not
that
at the
might
moment.
make them trouble?
Not at the moment. Right
Yeah,
now.
like obviously the young teams, a little too young.
Yeah,
The hot
exactly.
starts. And overall, we'll see what ends up happening. As I mentioned before, comment down below. Is there any team that can beat this Colorado Avalanche team this season in a 7-game series? We would like to know in the comments down below. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 150 subscribers. We want to get there by the end of this month. Hopefully 200. We need your support on that. We'll be dropping a lot of content for you guys. But other than that, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.